Well, there are about to be some brawls in Chicago. What is up, guys? This is Godzilla Suplex, and welcome to today's episode as I'll be giving my thoughts and predictions on the UFC Chicago 237 card. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button, also hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time I make a video. So guys, let's get into this, because right around the corner it is UFC 238. And man, it's gonna be crazy to see Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes duke it out for the bantamweight championship that TJ dropped after testing positive for EPO, the same steroid that Lance Armstrong got caught using. So now it's just left the whole division in disarray, and it's about to get real interesting, starting off with this pay-per-view to set up the new champion. But before I get into that, let's start off with some of the undercards. And the way I like to do it, I like to set the fire goals and say then who wins. I usually like to go through the scenarios, but since I got so many fights to cover, I'm gonna have to cut it a little short. But starting off on the night, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Blagoy Ivanov, and this is gonna be just a heavy hitting fight. We know Blagoy just came off a win against Ben Rothwell, and it was a huge win, very close fight. And we know Tai Tuivasa is a great fighter, just suffered his first loss at the hands of the legendary UFC fighter Junior Dos Santos, and he's looking to rebound in this fight. Which one of these guys is gonna win? So let me go down my little thing that I like to do called the fighter goals. And what is the goal for the underdog Ivanov? And what he needs to do, he needs to keep his range, make this dude work for the hard strikes that he wants to throw. Tai Tuivasa is still a very young fighter. He still sometimes gets over aggressive with his fighting and leaves himself open to counter shots. And Blagoy needs to drag out the fight, get this dude impatient, and then try to go in for the kill once he opens himself a little bit too much, because Blagoy Ivanov can throw some hard punches, and when he swings to kill. So he really needs to wait patiently, wait this guy out, don't give him a chance to hit you, counter punch and hurt him and take him down, and then you can wrestle him from there with basic wrestling. And he doesn't wrestle that much, so he's definitely not getting back up, and you can ground and pound him, and then from there he's probably gonna go in a whirl spin for the rest of the fight. But what does Tai Tuivasa needs to do? He really needs to move through Ivan Blagonov's power, and it's gonna be hard. Because he has a decent amount of power behind him. Once he can get behind that and strike him in the head, I think that he's gonna cause him trouble, especially with his sudden burst. If he can get a good burst off that can go past his arms and hit him in the head, he's gonna definitely be in trouble. And he could just keep striking him with his power and getting around Ivanov's good striking and jab. He's gonna definitely knock this dude out. But the key is to mix it up and go for the legs and stomach to make sure Ivan cannot move out of the way of his punches. Now, who do I think is going to win this fight? I think it's going to be Tai Tuivasa. I think youth is going to serve him well in this fight. If he does get hit, he's going to be brave enough to keep coming towards Ivan, who usually traditionally likes space. He's going to get all up in his grill and push him up against the cage and keep punching him until he knocks him out or gets a clear decision of victory. But next, after that, we have a very compelling contest that decides the future #1 contender in my eyes. The next challenger to either Henry Cejudo or Marlon Moraes, whoever wins the title, Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munoz. We know these guys have been on hot streaks. They faced the best of the best, and I think it's going to be their time to get the title later this year in November. So who or how do these guys win this fight? We know Pedro Munoz just knocked out the legendary Cody Garbrandt, and then on the other side, Aljamain Sterling just be a tough fight with Jimmy Rivera. So what are the fighting goals for this matchup? And let's start off with the guy who did the most unthinkable thing, I think, to any Cody Garbrandt fan, and that is knock him out. And Pedro Munoz is just absolutely amazing. He has great strategy, hydration, chin. So what is his goal in this matchup? And I think it's to make it a dog fight, and he's got to get Aljamain Sterling off of his striking. Like, he has to make him work for every strike he gets. He has to stay out of his range. He needs to move back and forth and really get over those arms to really start fighting him and punching him in the head. Because once you punch Aljamain Sterling in the head, you can kind of disrupt his strategy a little bit. Whereas Aljamain Sterling usually likes to use range and punches to try and hit his opponents. But Pedro Munhoz knows he has to tend to take anything that Aljamain Sterling has to throw at him. So he has to use that, be well hydrated, be ready to take a shot, and be ready to slug out with him until he eventually gets that one hard shot, hurts Aljamain Sterling, and sends him in a whirlwind for the rest of the fight and then stay on him, which Pedro Munhoz, we know all well that he can do. And then on the other side, what Aljamain Sterling needs to do, and it's very simple. He needs to stay at range, keep Pedro Munhoz guessing, and stay away from his power shots. And most of all, kick his leg to disrupt his power shot striking, and then get him hurt and on the defensive so he cannot advance his game plan. But who do I think is going to win this fight? And I think it's going to be a real tough one, but I think Pedro Munhoz is going to pull it out. His impressive win over Cody Garbrandt and how he was able to listen to his coaches so well and map out that fight. I think he will beat Aljamain Sterling, be able to switch it up enough to beat him by decision and really hurt him a couple of times in that fight. But after that, we also now have another big fight, which is Jimmy Rivera versus Petr Yan. After, Aljamain Sterling versus Pedro Munhoz, who is going to be those backup? And this is the fight that's going to be made to maybe match up with Aljamain Sterling or Pedro Munhoz in the future for a #1 contenders fight. Maybe at the end of the year to decide who's going to fight either one of those winners if they don't have a rematch, which most likely they won't. And it's going to be crazy because Petr Yan has no mercy in his soul because that man goes so relentless on people. But you also got Jimmy Rivera, who's a very skilled veteran, and he's very bulky and can easily knock somebody out. So what are the fire goals in this fight to decide who, after the last guys I just talked about, who after that is going to be in a great seat to get a title shot? And starting off with no mercy, Petr Yan. Petr Yan has to make sure that he does not stay in one spot for the whole fight, move around and try to use his speed against Jimmy Rivera and make sure he does not get taken down. If he can use his speed, keep hitting Jimmy Rivera, he's going to eventually knock him down and be able to keep hitting him until a knockout. Whereas Jimmy Rivera's goal is to take him down and use his bulky structure to throw a lot of power shots and try to throw a lot of leg kicks to get him to stay still. And if he can't hit him with power, then just take him down and submit him with his bigger frame. So who do I think is going to win this fight? I think it's tough, but I think Petr Yan's got the movement. He's got the momentum. I think he's going to overcome Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera is going to play conservative at first. He's going to give Petr Yan a hard fight, but eventually Petr Yan is going to use his great movement and striking to knock him out somewhere between the second and third round, or at least hurt him into his decision. So after that, we had the main event, Marlon Moraes versus Henry Cejudo. And what are the fire goals for this colossal fight to decide the new champion? Starting off with the challenger, the most deserving challenger out of any division other than Tony Ferguson, Magic Marlon Moraes. What does he need to do to take home the belt that he's finally been waiting for? In my opinion, it's very simple. Use his striking, make it a hard stand-up matchup. Use his bare judgment to make sure Cejudo cannot take him down, hurt Cejudo, and then force into a wrestling contest where he could easily mix it up and completely dominate Cejudo both on the feet and on the ground. Get great position because we are talking about two great wrestlers. Cejudo may be able to get himself out of a jam, but after getting hit and then getting taken down and trying to recover, Marlon Moraes can definitely get great positioning on the ground. But mostly Marlon Moraes needs to keep this a stand-up contest. He needs to go at Cejudo hard at this new weight, make him question himself, and he needs to block his takedowns and really get him tired and make him want to strike, constantly throw power shots to hurt him, and he should come off with the victory by decision or knockout. But what does Cejudo need to do to win this fight? And in his corner, it's very unsure what he can do at this weight. When somebody goes up in weight, they almost become a completely different fighter, and sometimes not always for the positive. So Cejudo really needs to rely on what got him there, and that is that great Olympic wrestling that won the gold medal. He needs to make sure to mix that up with his striking, try to get a feel for Marlon Moraes' power and where he usually bends his hips to try to put in power shots, where he can try to take him down and interrupt his striking, and use his great wrestling to constantly keep him at threat. Because Marlon Moraes has a great body, it's going to be hard to take him down, but if he can hit him with something, or maybe mix up to the point where he can just keep taking down Marlon Moraes, there's nothing that really he can't do, and it will help him win rounds, disrupt his striking, and get him in an uneasy state of mind going into the next rounds. Because if he does that, then Marlon Moraes will try and mix it up, and he'll be scared to do anything, and he'll sort of be nullified, much like what John Jones does, because he's gonna be so scared of that takedown. And really, a better comparison is Khabib. He could do a Khabib on him and have him constantly guessing on what he's gonna do, and then once he thinks about a takedown, hit him with a hard shot and have him lean, then take him down and hold him down for the rest of the round. And he could very well win by decision. I wouldn't think he would win by knockout, but it is very possible. But who do I have winning this fight? And I think Marlon Moraes is just too athletic. He's almost like another version of Cejudo on the next weight class. So Cejudo's wrestling is awesome, but Marlon Moraes can match that, and he is physically built for that weight. So not only can he take advantage of that, but he might take Cejudo down and hold him down. So he's going to end up winning to me. He's going to win the 135 title and begin his reign as the rightful 135 champion. But guys, now it's time to go to the back topic of this episode. Why former UFC champions should not get an instant rematch after they lose their title for the first time. And I know you're wondering, well, what in the case about Tyron Woodley? He's been the champion for so long. People like Anderson Silva, people of those kinds, why shouldn't they get rematches after defending the title so many times? And I feel you on that point, but we have to think about, and I'm going to use the best example to give to you, the Jose Aldo situation at 145. A lot of people aren't noticing, but he's causing a major problem within that division. Because, okay, since he faced Max Holloway twice, and he got knocked out by Max Holloway twice, so no more can you sell a rematch between Max Holloway and Aldo. And what the effect is that, okay, so now what is Jose Aldo doing? He can't fight the champion. What is he relegated to now? A blockade for the rest of the division. Because basically now, he's taking out contenders that could fight Max Holloway. Jeremy Stephens might never be the same because he faced Aldo, and I don't think it was necessary, even though it was a great matchup, because there was no opportunity on the line to face Max Holloway again. He basically has been rupturing different contenders, even though he can't even fight for the title. So it's like how are we gonna get him out the way to even have another contender? No matter what or how many win streaks that Aldo goes on, he's not gonna fight Max again, and that's the sad part. You know, it's like he just won't. So now he's just messing up contenders, and I'm glad UFC has learned from that and now is not doing it with Tyron Woodley, because that's a horrible situation. When you can't fight for the title and you gotta fight all these other contenders and basically mess up their chances when they have a legitimate chance, it just messes up the whole division. Because now somebody who's highly skilled like Aldo, who doesn't match up with Max Holloway very good, could have faced him once, then faced Stephens, then faced Marcano, and then would have been like, okay, he's the clear number one contender. He's gonna fight Max Holloway again, and he might have stood a better chance, because you gotta think they're coming off a momentum loss. So when they keep beating other guys, they'll have their momentum back and they will go into the fight very confident. But if you put them in a straight rematch, they're not going to be very confident. So that's why, especially with the Rose Namajunas situation, you know, you can't have it where you got these guys going back to back in these championship fights unless it was very close. That's why I defend Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker. And plus, Yoel Romero was a contender. Like, it's like his fights were so close, you could probably still make an excuse for the third fight. But if it's hands down a knockout, why are you putting him up against him again without him getting another couple of fights to recollect himself and maybe improve on upon what he did last time? And I think that could work in all cases in these UFC fights. And I'm glad the UFC going forward won't do this again. So to anybody that says, oh, they should do instant rematches and honor this, put in the comment section why, and I will definitely debate you. Also, guys, leave your thoughts in the comment section. This has been the best Gojira and UFC news. Rate, comment, and subscribe. I thought I said that already. But also the notification bell so you get a notification every time I make a video. And I will see you guys next time.